let's
get us going.
Continue the conversation. We can add an intro later.
Go, Ash, go, get us started.
Welcome back to another episode of...
Hey guys, welcome.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Remind podcast. I'm Dr. Ashleigh Moreland, joined by David Masterton. We are already deep in conversation, and it's such a valid point. So what was coming up for me in our previous episodes is this concept of like, who the hell are we to decide that someone else's life needs to change? It's not our job.
Well, and I think let's give it a bit more context, right? This all started 3 weeks ago, may have been all recorded back to back, but it was all around trauma. It starts off with looking at trauma in hindsight. Go back 2 weeks ago, then to what it felt like when you had the revelation of the bombshell that crap, something was traumatic, and then the understanding or the exploration of knowing it was traumatic through the awareness of something better. So through the logic, the seeing, hearing, and all of that, versus the feeling and the knowing that you need something better. And then at the tail end of that, we started talking about the difference between, okay, well, if you have to see something to know it's better, how do you necessarily know it's better? And I decided to bring up, colonizing. Better or worse, right? So, and now...
At the start of our recording of this episode is so valid. And I think, that's where we impose our ideals and our views onto someone else. And I think, especially in my professional role, even if I can see that there is a healthier alternative for someone, that there is... a future for them where they are loved and honored and respected, and where they can have healthy relationship, where they can have a job or a role where they can shine rather than be completely suffocated every day. Like, I might be able to hold that vision for someone, but if they're paying me professionally, they're paying me to hold that vision for them and then hold them on their way to that vision. But there are some occasions when, like I sort of said at the end of that last episode, there are some occasions where someone might have a revelation about something. And at that moment in time, they might have the gut-wrenching revelation, that bomb moment of going, oh my gosh, my relationship is abusive. This is so unhealthy. But still not be ready to leave, but still not be ready to give them what for, or to go down the family law path, or to apply for divorce, or whatever it might be, right?
Oh, it's such a daunting thing.
Well, it is. And it's one of those things where learning to love people well and learning to support them in their sovereign choices rather than impose what we think is best for them is so important. And when I was in the Philippines, something that someone said, which is so relevant to this, is that people think poverty is about being poor in money, like lack of money. And the reality is, so much poverty still would exist even if we threw all the money in the world at them, because it's not about money, it's about identity. That is who they are and how they do things. And so even if they had all this money, well, that money isn't in alignment with their identity. It's not how they do things. It's not how their world works. And so throwing money at a solution, or throwing money at a problem, or throwing solutions at a problem that are coming from our identity and our approach to that issue is not going to help the people in the issue, because the solution doesn't match the problem that they have. The problem that they actually have is that they don't want to change that as their normal. They don't understand.
Or they feel it's too big, or they feel as though they don't deserve it on some level, whether it be conscious or unconscious.
Yeah. Or they don't even understand why. Like, okay, but why would that be a problem? Oh, maybe because so many people in your community are dying of starvation. Or maybe it's because the water that you're drinking is making you sick. Or maybe it's because, did you know that the people in your community live for 30 years less than the people just in the next city over? Because the next city over has access to clean water, has this, has this, has this. They know how to earn financial resource for themselves. They're not dependent on someone bringing the only food that they have access to. Like that kind of stuff where they don't, again, it's the not problem aware, having an understand, well, why would you need a sewage line? Because walking around in your own feces is making you sick. So helping people to understand why their problem is a problem and then helping them to feel safe enough in a solution to the way out at an identity level, at an existential level, is so much more valuable and so much more important than simply just trying to fix their problem when they're not ready to have a solution for it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people listening to this would agree, if there's shit on the street constantly every day, they would move. They would find a way to do it. Let's add a highly nuanced part, and I think you raised it before. Let's say you're in a relationship and you're not happy in the relationship, but you feel this gravity towards that person, that they are your person. And you feel as though that when things are good, they're fantastic. But when things are not good, it's really not bearable. So you kind of numb yourself out from it. And I think it's that sort of, when you get caught in that grey area, that people sort of go, well, I can't, I won't change because. That part is the difficult bit, because it's sort of like, maybe you've been with that person for a long time. Maybe your entire identity is wrapped up in it being you and that person. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you have shared finances. Maybe your family loves that person. Maybe you love that person's family. Maybe there's all of these things, but there's this grind. There's this thing that which is sort of saying to you, you're not happy. So instead, you're trying to focus on trying to fix the relationship or the person, as opposed to sort of going, is it the person? Am I supposed to be in this relationship? But then there's this damn thing called intuition that niggles at you saying, damn it, I'm thinking that I need to be away from this person, whether for a short time or forever. But the intuition's nagging at you. And then what we're sort of saying is, well, is the intuition right? Does the intuition have to be final? Does it have to sort of say, right, you're being silly because you're not listening to your intuition. What you need to do is just, if you don't follow that, then you're doing the wrong thing. No, it takes, I know for me to get started on my healing journey, there was a couple of false starts. I could have been much deeper into this.
Because time and space is a physical reality, like physical dimension characteristic. Spiritually, if we get a prompting, an intuitive download that this is the action we need to take, or this is my reality, this is what needs to happen, that needs time to manifest in the natural. And so what I mean by time to manifest is, like, I might have that deep intuitive knowing, that like soul level, I need to end my relationship. But in order for that to manifest in the natural, there are things that need to fall into place. And the things that need to fall into place might be, it would be responsible to have a plan around your finances. It would be responsible to have a plan around your personal safety and safety of your belongings. It would be responsible to have a plan of knowing where are you going to go, and like how logistically, how is that going to happen? In the case of divorce, 1 year and 1 day, you can't just go, I'm going to divorce my husband, and then have it manifest and all be done and taken care of the second you have the thought. And so I think that's a really important point is
Absolutely.
there's a period of not only physical and logistical preparation and readiness and getting your ducks in a row, but also emotional. Like there are things that I've known I need to navigate, but I needed to prepare myself mentally and emotionally to be the version of me that could cope with even doing the logistical stuff. To know, like, to process my fears of being alone or fears of whatever it might have been. And I feel like that process for me in case of divorce probably took 2 years, 3 years before we were actually like, it's done. So from that moment of this needs to happen to the physical manifestation of all the logistical and practical stuff that needed to happen for that outcome to become manifest, I think that's a really, really important point. So you didn't necessarily have false starts, but you had input, you got feedback about the next things that needed to happen before you could
I need to simmer before being brought to the boil.
Yeah.
And I guess coming back to and I think it's important we sort of come back around to when is it being essentially pushing an agenda versus helping someone be aware of something else. And I think the answer to that is when you find that time and space where you're with someone and you feel the urge, the nudge, not from you having to fill empty space, but you feel it within you that you need to share something, you're allowed to share something with someone simply along the lines of, okay, let's just take the fact that you've got this, you're talking to someone who you perceive to be in this situation in a relationship. Now, instead of saying this is what you need to do to fix it, it's imagine that the person that you're with does all the things that you're craving. This. Now, for a moment, imagine it's that person that you're with. Or imagine it's any person that you're with. You don't need to be hard and fast in the rules of it has to look and feel and touch and smell and taste like this. It's setting the intention of what you want in that particular relationship, environment, whatever it is, and then go, well, how do you open that space for that to come in? Because to be quite honest, why couldn't it be the person that you're with? As long as you can sort of set that sort of intention, this is what I want next to me. This is what I want to engage with. Now, if that means that person has to go away, do some healing and come back, great. If that means that person has to go away completely and be replaced with someone new, great. If that means that you feel called to help that person go from where they are to where you want them to be because they start to see that that's the person they want to be, also great. And so I guess it's that offering that sensation of sort of saying, you currently have this. Now, let me speak to you a possibility. And when I talk to you about this possibility, how does that make you feel inside? Does it make you feel good or excited or passionate or happy? Or does it make you feel terrible? And that's the guide. Because as much as fear hits you hard, the intuition will always guide you with passion. Then followed by fear. Because then suddenly you're going to put the how, where, what, and why into it. And then suddenly your heart sinks into your stomach and then you start to get watery mouth and you want to vomit everywhere, thinking about how you get to that point. But the reason you're thinking about that is because you like the destination. So, I mean, in giving people the opportunity to see and invite them into that particular outcome, I believe is a way to sort of do it. And that's how you can sort of go, well, imagine I arrive in my ship and I hit New Earth or New Land and I talk to the locals and go, you don't have farming, you don't have sewerage, all of these things will make life better for you. And they look around and go, why would that make anything better for me? Because we're a nomadic tribe. We just follow. We live with the land. We don't live on it. Ah, okay. So what I've given you doesn't resonate. Okay. Off I go. Versus that whole thing of, okay, I carry on to a land and everyone's at each other and it's all take and killing and all of these things. And I say there's the ability to share and to trade and to live together and all. How does that feel? It feels good, but we don't know any other way. Okay, well, that's where I kind of see the main difference with all of that. So it's not necessarily about sort of trying to make my reality fit yours or for your reality to fit someone else's. It's sort of going, here's something. How's it feel? Try it on.
And having attachment to it. And I see this in therapy and coaching a lot, where people attach their own self-worth to being able to improve other people's lives or fix their problems. But so, for example, if in a dysfunctional capacity, if you were my client and I could see that you were in a dysfunctional marriage, I would potentially dysfunctionally see that because I could see that you deserve so much more, I have only done my job well if you leave your marriage. And I get attached to that outcome. But where this ability to honor someone's sovereign experience comes in is to be able to sit with them on their journey in their time. It's not up to me to say to someone, you need to leave your partner, or you should do this, or you should do that, or you should do this, or you should do that. It's up to someone to be able to make empowered decisions that feel right for them. And if that is like the nomadic tribe to go, thanks, but we'd actually prefer not to have sewerage because of these reasons. Well, then, okay, it doesn't align. I mean, I would prefer to have this.
Yeah.
But my preferences don't have to be your reality. And this is where I see, like, I started really questioning myself going into these communities going, oh, but they don't have this and they don't have that and they don't have this. Somehow, like, if they had my ideal of a better life, that their life would be better. And really sitting there questioning it, going, yeah, but who do I think I am trying to impose my version of a better life onto these people when I don't even know if it would be a better life for them, maybe. And evidence tends to point to this direction. For a lot of people, they just want the life that they've got. They don't even want more. They just want what they've got. And so it's not up to me to make that wrong, but it might be up to me to meet them where they're at. And slowly, like what we were talking about that timeline, maybe slowly over time, they might, through exposure, through support, through encouragement, be able to eventually be at a point where they're wanting something different. But not.
And I think you raise a really important point. You know, we've been talking about it from giving the advice, right, as to when's a good time to get involved and when's not. And you raise a really good point about the receiving of it. And there's nothing that makes me feel better than when I'm talking to someone about something that they've raised with me. I give them some advice and a light bulb goes off in their head. I love that. It is something that I absolutely love. It's not something that I chase. And that is the most important thing, because if people are there, they are wanting and they're chasing that feeling, that validation, those kind of things, then suddenly when they're offering advice and you don't get that, sometimes that can be where it turns into, instead of gentle guidance, it becomes into you need to.
Yeah.
And being aware of that, especially when people have to sort of say, I told you so. That's like the ultimate. Oh, remember when I told you that like 4 weeks ago? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like that time I said, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you came around. Oh, I'm so glad you got there. It's like, okay. And I think when we sort of see these things in place, like, okay, actually, the main thing is take your time, be gentle with yourself, allow the people around you to invite out of you the possibilities of something else without there having to be that necessary closure. You don't need to feed them with that validation and things like that. And there are more and more people, consciously or subconsciously, looking for those people to give them light bulb moments. Well, to have light bulb moments to sort of go, wow.
Yes.
And it does come from a pure place. However, it gets tainted along the way.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of it.
Thought, which is, if you don't know what you want and why you want it, you're going to be led by what other people want on your behalf. Whether that is your partner who wants you to be their person, regardless of whether it's what you want or not. Whether it's your kids who want this from you, whether or not it's what you want or not. Part of your journey is in your relationship with your sense of self, is knowing yourself intimately to know who you are. What do you want? What is your truth? Where are you at? Where are you heading? What pace? Because there's going to be people, you're going to be surrounded by people who think that they know what you should want. And if you don't have, and I see this in business, I see like business is actually the perfect example where I see vulnerable business, like entrepreneurs, startups. I see vulnerable people who don't even have the clarity of who they are and what they want and why they're doing what they're doing and what feels good and what doesn't. So they will just follow blindly someone else's strategy, someone else's approach. They'll piggyback that. They're very vulnerable to being coached by others and someone else coming in and saying, this is what you should do. This is what you need to do. But lacking the discernment because they don't have that strong sense of, sense of self and sense of awareness and connection to their self to be able to discern whether or not that is aligned for them. And so they just fall into this trap of outsourcing, doing what they're told, and trying to let someone else's vision for their life be the right vision. And so I think really
important.
Yeah, leaning into our autonomy.
I will say, and this is only anecdotal, there's no double-blind tests on this, you will know what you want. The deeper you go, you will find it. The issue that I personally have come up against is the fact that, for an example, right, I've always had this self-confidence that I know I've got myself. I never realised I craved safety. But let's just say you know that what you want is to crave safety. You crave certainty. You crave safety. You crave belonging. And maybe you know that. But the way to get there is to take a leaky boat with 2 oars and start paddling to the horizon. Right? And then you suddenly realise, well, to do that, I'm not prepared to do that. So therefore, I don't know what I want. Well, it could be you know what you want, but the uncertainty of grabbing or jumping into that leaky boat with 2 oars and paddling to the horizon is the way to get there. And you sort of go, but the ocean's very wide and it's getting dark. Yeah, I get that. What if the ocean's only a foot deep? You never know. So it's the more you go into it, you will find it. But I think
lighthouse that's going to guide you and direct you and lead you and
metaphor. I
know. You've been doing so good.
Yeah, big ones.
This has been
amazing.
Awesome. Guys, would love to hear from you. I know we said last week that we would really, we want to know what you're thinking, what's coming up for you. We want your input into this. So please do comment. You know, you can even comment on individual episodes in Spotify and YouTube and all that sort of stuff. And we check all the comments. So, or even just DM us, email us, because we would love to hear from you. This is really big stuff.
Absolutely. And until next week, bye-bye.
Bye.